because like he just thought he was way more hot shit.
Guys, we're going 3, 2, 1. I may have clicked this a little early. And we do have the Arcs of Omen detachment up. Before we came up, I may or may not have goofed that up. I mean, that could be a possibility. It might be someone else. But no, it was me.
No, it's Brad.
OBS is tricky. Dude, we've got some stuff happening this week. We've got the Ark of the Covenant. We've got Henry Cavill doing the Warhammer universe, which I'm super juiced about, by the way. We're going to talk about that.
I'm super stoked about that, yeah.
The thing is I'm really excited for that because there's room to fuck up. Because there's so many places you could take that. You could be Marines. You could literally focus on rogue trader type stuff. You could do an Inquisitor. I mean, the universe is just gigantic from the what you have to work on. So what do you guys want it to be on? Like if you were picking right now.
So first off, let's just introduce Paul.
Oh yeah, I should probably say that Paul's here. My bad, Paul.
Hello, everybody.
I hit the floor running.
So of course you have Brad and I, who are here all the time, crazy drunk idiots. And of course you have Paul Lell. He's from Syracuse. He's one of the chapter members of the 13th Legion here.
Hello,
Paul, give us a quick rundown of your Warhammer stuff, and then we'll get going on Henry Cavill.
All right, cool. Hi, my name's Paul Lell from Syracuse, New York. This little guy is Lincoln, and today we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff. Little thing about me, I've been playing Warhammer 40,000 since 2001. I took a short break to join the military, came out of the military with 3 more armies, and just harder into the franchise. I've been on the ITC circuit. My best prize was 2nd place at a GT, and I've been on mini wargaming 4 times. Most people know me for my army, the Praetorian Regiment, which are these fine individuals. They're the guys with the plinth helmets.
Fine individuals. I love that.
Yeah.
These are men of distinction.
That's right. They're
They
fine
do.
British men of distinction.
They really are. I mean, they got all the, like, they got tea rations, they've got nice boots, and then they got
Well, wait, do you have your pug commissar handy?
I do not. I got my regular guys because when I get to the commandos, you'll get it, because I made sort of like a joke but also very awesome idea for commandos that I hope other orc players will take, and hopefully we'll see more of that onto the field. Because the most thing that I've seen with people that, which I like to call cheap commandos, people just like use the extra barrels in some of the other things, and they just stick arms and feet on the bottom of them, and it's like, yeah, that's a commando hiding in a trash can, and it works. I mean, it does. And they paint it purple. But I just had a slightly different idea. The armies that I play is Imperial Guard, Orcs, Tyranids, Blades of Corn, Corn Demons, and soon, again, World Eaters when the new Codex comes out. I
don't believe you're the World Eaters. Show me that you've got some sort of attraction to them, some sort of loyalty to those World Eaters.
Where's that helmet, Paul?
With authority.
Oh, we have to prep for this one.
We are ready. I am ready. I love that it's bigger than the headset, by the way.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
All right, fine. I think maybe you have some World Eater loyalty.
All right, can you guys hear me? All right, good.
Amazingly, yes, we can, Paul.
All right, cool. I've been a world leader for a very long time. I had an army. It was stolen, and then 2 years later, it was returned to me, and I decided to kind of give it to a new player, to appease Corn and bring somebody in.
Reel that bad boy back in.
Oh, this is a great story.
You can't just throw that out. You're like, yeah, I was walking down the street and I got struck by lightning and Zeus took me out for shots. Yeah, back it up, man. I need to hear this story.
I had a girlfriend who got addicted to substances, and she stole my car with my army in it, and she sold it on me. 2 years later, after I had just got done building my Imperial Guard army, I just got done winning I think like 4th place at the boys, and like my friend calls me and he goes, "Hey man, is this yours?" And he sends me a picture of my stuff with my name on it and everything. And I'm like, "Yeah, where is it?" And he goes, "Some guy tried to sell to me for like money." So I gave him $20 to take the whole thing.
Oh God.
And I received it and everything was there.
That's fantastic.
And I was just like, "Oh my God," this was 2 years later. I thought I'd never see them again. And I was like, "Korn returned these to me." And then as I had them in my hand, there was a new player that came in and he was like, "I want to play Korn and I don't have that much money and I want to start it." And I saw the sign and I was like, "Listen, I'll sell you my old Korn because I'm not using them right now. I'll remake them another day and you take them." And he became a full-fledged Korn player, and he still plays down in Pennsylvania. He's a really good guy.
Nice. See, that's awesome.
Yeah. So they lived on. And that's my contribution to Korn, other than bringing him skulls and spilling blood on a daily basis.
It's funny that you said that he bought it for $20. I used to have pizza places. I owned pizza places in the hood. And you remember the old army cases looked like gun cases.
Oh, yeah.
So I've had my car broken into multiple times and they steal my case. Well, they open it up and I found my army like literally behind the building, like ripped open once. It was they just threw it in the dumpster. And the funny part about it was I have guns. They're not worth as much as the armies are, but they don't know this.
They don't realize,
well, like been running game stores, God, forever, it seems like at this point. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while you get somebody who comes in and it's clearly someone who's broken into a car or something. It's like, "Is this worth anything? Will you give me $20 for it?" And you're like, "Sure." And then you post on one of the Facebook Discords or whatever, "Hey, whose army is this? Come pick it up."
Yeah, that's the thing in those. But it was especially the beautiful armies. I actually gave Matt Aaron shit about this. And we were talking, and he's like, "Well, I got to get my stuff, get everything around." I'm like, the haul will be fine. He's like, "Oh, I spent a lot, so much time with it." And I go, "I understand." What's up, brother? I understand that, you've spent this much time, but let's be honest, who's stealing this? And then showing up with your army? And so somebody can go, "That's clearly Matt's army." Like, where are they taking this? You know what I mean?
Like, I chalk it up to people don't know what it is that they get, and they don't know who to bring it to. And then when they do finally bring it to them, they have like absolutely no, like, I just chalk it up as like, do you know when you ask your grandma to pick you up a video game? It's like that, but it's just reverse. It's like, "Hey, is this worth a lot? I don't know what it is. Can you tell me what it is? I think my kids will like it. Do you think they'll like it? Can you give me $20 for it?"
I had a buddy of mine do that with comics, where he just went to a random garage sale and he got like Batman #1 and all kinds of other randoms, like first edition type, comics and things. They're like, "What do you want?" Like, "I don't care. Just give me X amount for the entire box." And he's like, he's standing there and he goes, I had all of the problems with morals right then going, "You want $10 for this basically bag of money that's standing right here?"
Like, we're not going to find buried treasure anymore. Buried treasure is now in old folks' homes with grandmas that don't know what the hell they have.
Exactly.
It's true.
It's very true.
It's true. Recently, I remember going to a convention, and there's this guy selling his old army from like 2nd edition and stuff like that. And one of the things he had was an original Warhound Titan made in 1988, the same year I was born. And I'm expecting this thing to be like $200-300 because it's kind of rare and hard to find. He goes, "It's just been sitting in my attic, $50. And I literally said, "I'll be right back," and I ran to the ATM. I just out of the way. Get out of the way, kids.
It's just crazy.
It's like when we do the gamer garage sales, which you've seen me do on Paul, and we'll have people bring in and let people set up their stuff, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, "What do you want for that?" And somebody's like, "I don't know, like $100 for the entire army," and you're like, "All right, here's $200. Thank you, and have a nice day."
Yeah. Like, that's a lot. It's funny that people have no clue at all, like, what things are worth. And one of the things is, I do want to talk to you guys about this. What do you guys think about the fact that we're getting close to the point where we're kind of pricing out a lot of the newer players with just the cost right now? What are your guys' thoughts on that and keeping the hobby lively, basically?
I actually think one of the best ways we could do that is by either expanding into like other players, putting into like maybe prizes or something like that. Like sometimes once in a while I'll just throw a couple bucks at the Legion for prizes or trophies or something like that. Because like there are people that were poor, and I grew up poor, and now that I have money, I don't have any kids or anything. Maybe, the community will grow because, I help out. But it's not just me. There's other people that also put in there, even collective bin boxes, selling old armies to new players for dirt cheap because you just want more people into the hobby and you still want your stuff to be played. So it's just a number of things.
Yeah, one of the things I can always say, it is cost prohibitive to play a 2,000 point army, to sit down and buy it, because clearly I work retail and I work in games. You're talking about $1,000. No one has just $1,000 laying around for the day. Slow grow leagues, Crusade leagues that start off with 25 power level, which is a combat patrol box, which is $150 at full retail, and if you're paying full retail, you're crazy. My store sells at 15% off every day. You can buy it on Amazon at 15% off every day. So, but anyway, if you start at that level, do it for a couple weeks, right? Until somebody's played for 2 weeks, then they can buy another unit, and you bring it up, and you build a Crusade League up over 6-8 weeks to where you get to 100 power level after a little while. It helps encourage players to come in and start, because, hey, you know what? You don't want to buy the big rule book. You don't want to do that. Hey, look, Wahapedia exists. We all know it exists. Use it, play with it, try it out.
Sorry, Eloise just goes, she says basically, buy stuff and convert it. She goes, my dog bought it as a $4 metal sorcerer of chaos who had gender reassignment and a change of faith.
But I mean, there's things you can do to build the community. Also, a thing that is very honest and happening now, that 3D printers go burp.
Yeah.
3D printers have brought in a lot of people into the hobby, to be honest with you, and they still buy GW models and they still buy a lot of stuff. But that $100 kit that you need 3 of to play in competitive play, if they have 1 real one and 2 fake ones, whatever.
That's the thing, is it's hard right now between the meta changes and we're getting so many more book releases than we used to. It's hard to keep up with that. I have the luxury of knowing a lot of people that will foolishly let me touch their models, but I also do it where we have group models and stuff like that. Basically anything that I get, I just throw into Sniggs' basement, and we draw out of that. And Kramer's a madman about bringing stuff, you know what I mean, into what I can use and other people can use. So I think that gaming groups are great. I love the Crusade thing on that. While you giving models to people is fantastic. But the biggest thing is that, I mean, it's still selfish in letting other people get that, because of the fact the more people we have playing, the bigger events, we can get cooler places. We can do things like Warhammer cruises and giant events like LVO. But like, we've been getting more and more, and people have been getting super good about cool. We talked about gifts on Monday, like basically prizes for the tournament and giving out nice things, things that people remember. And you can't do that without having a big community, man. How many games you've been like, this is a super cool game, but it eventually it just goes away. You know what I mean? You have to have active players going all the time.
That's not necessarily true because the games themselves sometimes stick out of your mind, which is nice. And like, for example, if you really mess up in a tournament, you'll always remember it. Like I did a tournament, a GT with Horton as one of the judges, and I rolled 21 ones. Or I ended up. But it's like, even though like I still remember that, you know.
But Paul, like what we're doing is like as we grow the community, like and Paul can attest to this. When we had probably 10 years ago, the Syracuse community shrank. Like it just fizzled out. I don't want to say it went away, but a lot of guys went to Basement Hammer. The competitive scene went away, and a lot of it had to stem from just the people that were TOing the community for a while. There was a store in the community that was really bad for the community and hurt the community. And one day I went, well, if I just ran the events and did all the tournaments, we could get this back on track. And that's what happened. Was it takes a community leader, and whether that's one person, 5 people, 20 people, whatever the group might be, to just reinvigorate your community. And when you get a new player, to sit down with them and talk with them and help them out, help them build models, help them paint models. We've done, in particular for going to GTs and things, we've done paint parties to help someone who wanted to play a new army, who just was like, oh, I just finished getting it together, but man, there's no way I'm going to get it primed and painted for the event. Well, we can get you to 3-color standard if 5 of us sit down on a Tuesday night and slap paint on models. And I think you just need a strong community, and the strong community will help the new players out, whether it's with helping guide them on their army, helping them get models to the table, whatever the case might be. And the community is one of the things that drives, like Death or Glory, which, you know, we're on their channel. I give them a lot of credit because they grew their community. They focused on sportsmanship, being good to each other, helping each other out, talking, and creating that community, which is what I did here in Syracuse and helped foster here in Syracuse with the helps of people like Paul and Jeremy Massera, Steve Zuber, Jeff Hansen, and we all worked together to grow our community. And, you know, we spent a lot of time at one store here locally called Comic Zone. And 2 years ago, I took a job with a theoretically competitive store, and people were like, oh, what's going to happen to the community? I'm like, we'll be fine. I was like, there's going to be some changes. Stuff will rock the boat a little bit and things will move a little bit. But the community as a whole kind of came together, and some of the guys were like, hey, we can do stuff at Comic Zone. We can run stuff, you know, because Brian doesn't want to have a conflict of interest. And, you know, it's all about the community banding together. And once that happens and they stick together, every new player that comes in will feel welcomed. They will help him get to where they need to go. And that's a fantastic thing.
Yeah.
I'm 1,000% behind that. I mean, that's all the reason to play this. If it wasn't for that, the community, I wouldn't even be here. So it's a big deal on that. And having fun's a big deal. The other thing is consistency, man. I've seen the basically places, I don't even want to call it meta, communities, whatnot, rise and fall based on how often things are run. You know what I mean? You have to have people being used to gaming night at this night, or this weekend was always a tournament, and then it's just consistency of getting people in, and then obviously accepting people in to it. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things I give Paul a lot of credit for, Paul, one of his very good friends, is a transgender, and he helped a lot of the community kind of accept that, hey, guess what? Let's be accepting of this. And everyone in the community was like, we don't care. And our community is probably one of the most welcoming to people that I could ever say, because if you come in and you touch a Warhammer thing in the store on a game night, immediately at least 2 or 3 people are like, hey, we haven't met you before. Hey, let's introduce you to so-and-so and so-and-so and talk about everything. What do you want to do?
We'll come out of the shadows like Batman and be like, oh, you want to do Warhammer?
And all of a sudden you're in the basement playing games. You're like, I don't even know where I am right now. You play 40,
well, it's like,
you play 40K now.
we're just getting at the art store. We've just started doing game nights. We hadn't done them for a year and a half because their store hours are art store hours.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul ran into a guy who was playing. Paul came to play 40K. A guy came to play AOS. And Paul's like, well, I can't play next Tuesday, but on Monday, if you come over to my house, we'll play some Bong Hammer and have a good time. And I'm pretty sure on Monday you guys had a blast.
He got to like the third turn, and he was like, "Oh, how many points are we at?" And I'm like, "Well, you're at 4, he's at 5, so you just got to capture that." And he's like,
"That's tough."
Okay, right there. I'm gonna get some snacks. It's not the first time I've smoked somebody out of a game. I remember God, what's his name? Really great guy. He's another veteran. He was like, yeah, I'd like to, hang out with somebody, and I heard you smoke weed, and I'm like, here, take this, and we'll set up the board. We set up the board. He takes a hit of the bong, and he's like, I gotta go home.
Were you guys there when Richard from Sweden sent that guy to the hospital?
No.
So we're at Adepticon, and he's just not a big dude. He just looks like a regular Swede. He's just a tall, skinny dude. And they were drinking, and the other guy, and I don't remember how it started, but the other dude, he's a big guy, was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Drinking, I will drink you under the table. And he goes, all right. And they start pounding shots back and forth. They were doing like shot kill points and making up reasons to take shots. And fast forward 3 hours later, that dude's getting taken out on a stretcher from the paramedics. And Richard from Sweden goes with us to go eat and just continues to drink at the bar, just gets dinner. And we're like, dude, you killed the guy. He's like, yeah, but can I get a double of blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, what?
He's got to prepare for the next match.
Well, that was like watching at Adepticon this year, watching the Tiki Gods playing in one of their games on Sunday, and one of their opponents just sitting in the chair and just melting down to the floor slowly as they're feeding him like, oh, here, have some more Tiki juice. Have some more Tiki juice.
Oh. Dude, Brandon's in the chat, and I walked up, and this is the year I wasn't playing with Sparks, and I walk up, and it's a Du Bois versus Codex Toledo year, and I walk up to see how the game's going, and Brandon is just blackout drunk. I walk up, and he goes, we're doing shots, blah! Just wandering away, and he's playing God damn it, the brothers.
Oh, he's playing the
Hobins. He's playing well, not just one of the Hobins and Courtney, and they are just stone cold sober, just drinking, but they're just drunk.
Oh, no, they're not sober.
Yeah, well, I'm saying they're not sober, but they did the chant. We're not that drunk. We're not that drunk.
It was let's have another gin.
Oh God, it was so good. I looked over and go, I feel like I know who's winning this game, guys. They go, Brandon, you should move your models. He's like, woo, let's do it. I'm like, yep.
I remember one time I went to a GT in Rochester, and I had just got my pot card, and I got an edible, a big old brownie, and I ate it in the middle of the second round, in the beginning of the third round, because I was so mad at like something that happened at the second round or whatever. I was like, I need this to calm the fuck down. Third round comes around, I'm like, oh, can you move the unit like 6 inches? Horton's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm good. That's nice. Hey, do you got any Cheetos?
I go to Eloise. Someone thought they could outdrink someone from a cold country. Exactly. I think that all of them are professional drinkers. That's their other hobbies. Like, what do? I play 40K and drink ridiculous amounts of alcohol. That was go ahead.
Yeah, that's kind of why I want to open up my own adult gaming shop with alcohol and models and magic and stuff for like us, you know, just somewhere to just have a drink and have a smoke in the back and then get a sandwich and roll some dice.
Yep. I love that stuff. And I think one of my favorite things of just drinking and not caring, Michigan GT for like a 4-year span, I hadn't lost a game, but I only won once because multiple times I just went drinking and didn't come back during my games. Did that with Ogden. CK and I just closed down everyone around us because we just kept buying everything. And then we also just left. That was where I walked away, stayed at the bar, came back to the game. And I can't remember if it was Jeff or Bill. I was mad at them because I go, when I left, I told you to play my army. I was winning. They're like, what are you talking about? Like, you should have played. Just wandered drunkenly off. They're like, Brad, you can't just subcontract your game to someone so you can go to the bar. I'm like, what do you mean I can't? Like, you know what? We're just going to put you in for the loss here and move on with our lives.
Well, it's like one of the, I've been, researching doing another GT, and one of the casinos in the area has table service available for events. And I was like, well, what do you mean by table service? And they were like, well, we put, depending on how many people you have, for every 20 people you have, we put a waitress in and they go to the bar for you. And I'm like, oh, those girls are going to be exhausted. And they were like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, you just told me it's an all-female bar staff. I was like, those girls are going to be dead if you do that with just one for every 20 people. And I was like, because the tables are, 4 foot long and, 6 foot, 6 foot long, 4 foot wide. They're going to be walking around a lot. Well, you guys won't drink that much. And I'm like, oh, you have
wrong.
You are so wrong. So it's like trying to explain to them, all right, yeah, if you do one for every 20, the people are never going to stop. I was like, they will never stop moving the entire day.
The best is different tournaments I've went to with its first timer tournaments, when you go to an event for the first time and the people holding it are like, well, we have this much, it should be fine. You're like, you were woefully unprepared for the dumb drinking and shenanigans. Like, if you have food, this is why it blows my mind too. Every time you have a hotel that sells things that are just ridiculously overcosted, so everybody leaves and brings food in, no matter what their policy is, and you're standing there with your sandwich going, oh, yeah, this is from here. You're like, we don't sell that. Whatever. Just move on with your life. But the thing is...
What are they going to do?
Well, the thing is that I used to argue with different... I wouldn't get on anybody's thing, but like different conventions that I know people... everybody I know runs something. But we've had these talks where you go... If you would make it, you don't have to make it cheap. You just have to make it not insane. And no gamer wants to go anywhere. The majority of us are either just lazy or old and lazy. We don't want to leave. I will pay my tax of convenience. You just can't make it 10 times the amount where I'm like, man, no.
And again, I was talking with this venue and they were like, well, if we had like a $4 bottled beer, I'm like, you would have to have an infinite supply.
Yeah.
I was like, because no one would leave. They would just sit at their table and drink all day. And they were like, so if we had like a $4 wine, a $4 beer, and like a special $4 mixed drink, and I'm like, yeah, you'd run out.
Literally have anything that's even remotely edible for halfway decent prices, and people will also just drink and eat and be happy. You could not keep enough stuff in. It blows my mind. Sparks used to have to fight terribly with that at Adepticon. He's like, guys, have more stuff and have it slightly cheaper. You will literally, you can't keep it in stock. When you're like, hey, here's an $8 water. You're like, yeah, man, I'm gonna sneak some shit in. Okay. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'm gonna go outside and have a smoke.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over to the Walgreens across the street and go buy a metaphorical pack for $8.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. That's why they got all the food trucks at Gen Con. Nobody wants convention hall food. And the thing is it's crazy to me that you just don't have that. And I've seen so many tournaments now having that be a thing now, where they just have the food trucks there. And it's good for everybody. But the thing is again, you have to have reasonably priced food and drinks, and we will drink I never get it when they're just like pricing themselves out, just don't.
It's like,
crazy.
Paul, you know where Turning Stone, right?
Yeah.
It's a large casino
I've been
not
to
far
Turning
from
Stone.
us.
Yeah.
And we've been talking with them, trying to set something up for 2024.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, well, if you do everything right, we can include a buffet ticket for your dinner in your thing. And their buffet is like $20. It's a generic casino buffet.
But it's still a buffet.
And I was like, if you do a $20 buffet and I include that in my ticket, I was like, people are just not coming back for the third round.
Yeah.
It's like they're just going to gorge for hours.
It's like you go there, you eat first, and then you do the tournament, because when everybody's going to go eat on the second or third round, they're not coming back. And then you win. That's how you win. All right. You got to outthink your opponents. You either got to outdrink them, outsmoke them, or out-eat them. That's it. That's how you get it. All right.
I love your
knows how to do
tactics.
that because he's a Tyranid. He should know how to do that. Okay.
It's all biomass, Brian. It's all biomass.
It's all biomass. It's all
I've
biomass.
already finished this rock glass full of 18-year-old scotch.
Scotch down in my belly. Now, let's talk about the Warhammer 40K cinematic universe, because I've been dying to talk about it.
Hell,
Absolutely.
I am like, the minute that I saw it, I remember just bitching about how dumb DC is for firing Henry Cavill, and like how dumb the Witcher guys are for arguing with Henry Cavill because he makes the shows. He's Superman. He's one of the most convincing Superman since the 1980 Superman, Christopher Reeves. Now, he loves Warhammer as much as we all do. And if it was me in his shoes, I would kind of do it in a heavy metal style fashion. Here's the universe. Here's a bunch of horrible stories in that universe. Welcome to the universe. And that's how I would do it, because you couldn't really do it any other way. Like if you just went through the entire space opera of the Horus Heresy, right? You're going to have people go, oh, so this is like Game of Thrones, but with like space armor. And then you've got other people that are like, no, this is art, and you shut the fuck up.
So the thing I would love to see, I would just like to see, because it's going to be live action, and they have to do a lot of CGI, obviously. They really need to pick one of the Space Marine chapters. Is it
going to be Marines, do you think?
Just do it on this. I don't think they're going to do Inquisition. I just think it's not. They need bolter porn for that first series.
I'll give you that. The thing is that they already were trying to get that Eisenhorn series up, and there's got to be remnants of that going down.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Amazon.
I mean, what's the easiest thing to license, right? So they have to do they got to do something with Primaris Space Marines, because that's their bread and butter right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got 10th edition launching at some point this summer, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to tie everything in together. Whatever that poster child is, which I assume is going to be Blood Angels for 10th edition. I think it's going to be Blood Angels. They have to tie to that, because it's all about getting those sweet IP dollars,
mm-hmm.
and then getting people to take a bite into that tabletop universe.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're doing it for the IP dollars. Don't get me wrong. Everything's about making those IP dollars. It's free money for them. It's very easy to generate. With Cavill being an actual fan, no matter what, he's going to want to stick to the genre. But they want those sweet IP dollars to hit the tabletop at the same time.
Yeah, I agreed on that. But I don't know. The thing is that when you're talking about a CGI budget, the CGI budget to do a rogue trader or an inquisitor, type thing is so much less than going, all right, we need a hive tyrant on day one. We need, I need a space marine captain flying through the air while a bio titan's in the background. You're like, we blew our budget on episode 1. After that, everybody just has to sit in front of a green screen with a background That's it.
Well, there's other ways you can go about it. Like you can either go about it the horror version, where it could be like, you could be a normal human in this universe experiencing the horrors, the scariness of the universe, and that alone could be a movie. And you could have less CGI in it if it was shot in, let's say, something kind of like Tremors. Like they could have done something like Tremors with Tyranids and the Guard, and it would just be equally as entertaining and scary.
I see them doing a lot. They're number one. They're clearly going to start with 40K because it's their most popular series, and I've got to assume they're going to do Blood Angels, Ultramarines. It's going to be one of the main chapters.
Got to do a Space Marine,
and they can then step into fantasy. They can do, a Space Hulk movie. They can do all different kinds of stuff. There is so much.
I mean, you could literally do
so many years of IP there.
There's so. I mean, just think of. You could do series after series after a Rogue Trader. They already did it. It's called Firefly, but that was basically a Rogue Trader. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Honestly, just from one Space Marine's perspective would be interesting, like how Space Marine the game went, where we just follow one Space Marine or one Space Marine squad in just hell. And that would be fantastic.
A lot of the books are like that too. We could have, because you follow like random sergeants basically through a lot of the Horus Heresy books.
Yeah. I feel like Tom Hanks would be a pretty good director for that because he does a lot of the World War II stuff. I think it'd be really interesting to see him do a Space Marine thing or whatever.
I mean, done right, man, with good CGI and good actors, man. Like, yeah, just when the Space Marines storm someplace, that would just be awesome, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's got to sound right, too. Like, the thud of every single boot fall has got to, like, shake everybody because it's a 1-ton human being in power armor, And every time that a bolt shell is rocked, you got to see hair fly back. You got to see, like, the wind just push back right at the nose of the damn thing just because of the pressure of a missile exiting at that close range next to people.
I love I hate the drop pod in the game. I love the drop pod in Fluff because the drop pod shows up. It literally goes, the best is when you read the old Fluff, when they realize that only Marines could use the drop pod because they actually tried to use it for Imperial Guard and just everybody inside died.
Yep.
But the better part is you're like, hey, why do the doors come out? I hate in the game the doors lay flat. You know why? Because a goddamn drop pod has the doors explode off to get people the hell away from the drop pod. So they literally blow the doors off with explosions. It's awesome. In the game, you're like, screw your models. I'm going to blow them up with a door.
That reminds me of the old 5th edition drop pods that you were able to get. You had the missile ones, you had the assault cannon ones, you had the ones with the dreadnoughts being able to come out of them. And then the salamanders had their own like super heavy flamethrower one. It was just like, all it does is just flame everything in this direction. That was a good time.
You're like, man, Corey's got a good thing on this. I would like to see, to be honest, an anthology series like Look, Death and Robots to be the Warhammer, that the Cavill-led Warhammer, because it would help with, like, Warhammer Plus tried to do it, but they didn't put on enough stuff. We needed more Plus in our Warhammer Plus. But they had a good ideas of putting out different factions and stuff like that, because you can draw people in, or you could have one kind of overriding arc, and then a lot of different sub kind of deals from different points of view. And they just have unlimited perspective or potential, basically. I hope it kicks in soon, so if they spend a lot of money, they get money back, because there's so many projects that you could take from that and different views. You could be Eldar, you could do what the hell is happening with the Tyranids, you could do Custodes, Marines, whoever, you know what I mean?
If you think you do that Love and Robot style, right, you can do the same story from the Guardsman's perspective, from the Commissar's perspective, from the Space Marine Captain's perspective, from the Intercessor Sergeant's perspective. the exact same story from 4 different perspectives. And it would be interesting and compelling from each one.
I just want a Squig cartoon show. Squigmon. Starring Squiggy and War Boss Catch'em. Gotta catch 'em all.
So speaking of orcs, Paul. So Paul actually has a fairly well converted orc army. You want to show your battle wagon, Paul?
Let's see it.
So I have several battle wagons, and a lot of them that I made them out of was out of the models from the Deadliest Catch series. So what I did is I took one of those boats and a battle wagon, and I converted them together, added little bits and pieces here, guns and such. And, when I want to, I'll add the def roller on the front or back to make it look like a fishing trawler or just like a steamroller coming in and just messing people up. That's one of them. Of course, each one of my ships has a pirate flag because, you got to have a flag. This one is my Bone Crusher. Nice big one. Door at the bottom here. One of the things that I loved about this project is that in my mind, I thought about orcs sailing across a desert sea, fighting the Imperial Guard on a desert world. And instead of being normal tank tactics, they found a bunch of old junk boats and turned them into tanks. And, here we are. And with that, it kind of spread out. I even was able to go into some Forge World kits like the Grot Mega Tank and add that into the look of my army, as well as be a amazing addition that fits that niche for the freebooters. For an example, this Grot Mega Tank is piloted by Grots, and because it's a tank, it shoots on 4s instead of 5s and 6s, and I could put 7 rockets on here that have a range of 36 inches. So that's pretty damn good. The other thing is being an orc player, you could literally take trash and turn it into treasure, including old models like, this old Dark Eldar Raider that I turned into a old truck. There's usually a gun up here, but I'm doing some fixing and such.
I want to see the convicts that are piloting all these pirate ships.
Oh, do you? Well, I'm going to show you one more ship, and then I'm going to show you what I got. This is the sub trucka, so I thought it'd be funny to have a submarine truck made from the old Karajan Overlord set mixed with a truck. Nice. And I just had a lot of fun making that because I was just like, I just want a little submarine, So let's look at my boys, because orcs aren't anything without boys. And here's one of my favorite boys right here. Each one of the boys that I have usually has this really cool flintlock pistol, because it's a pistol, it's only going to have one shot. And some of them have peg legs because you got to have the peg legs.
Oh, it's required.
It's required. He's got jewelry. I'm waiting for my camera to, there we go. Obviously you've got the leather everything, the black boots, the yellow eyes on all the orcs because of scurvy. I know that orcs usually have red eyes, but because they're orcs, I gave them all yellow eyes because of scurvy.
I mean, that's logical with pirates.
Yeah. I gave them this combination of Talisar blue and royal blue, ultramarine blue, and their pants are Space Wolves gray to give them that dungaree look with a nice gold trim to give them the original American Navy uniform. And, of course, I got guys with guns. Everybody's got jewels and such. Not everybody has a shirt. Some of them don't have shirts. Some of them just, have... All of them have cutlasses, by the way. A lot of them have cutlasses because I imagined, if you're a pirate, you got to have a cutlass, It's just like, why don't you have a cutlass?
And so the one thing I give Paul a lot of credit for, for those of you who don't know Paul, which is probably a lot of you, Paul is a veteran. He has some hand issues, and he is one of the people who contrast paint was perfect for, has helped him become a painter, because he had a lot of problems doing the layers and blending and highlighting, all that. And contrast has made it so, Paul, you now paint your own models for the most part, right?
Yeah, I now am able to paint my own models for the most part, because for a long time I wasn't able to hold a paintbrush very well and do detailing. I had my right hand crushed while serving in Iraq, and so it's a little hard for me to write and stuff like that. But the upside is you know, after a while I ran into people who helped painted my army and stuff like that. Like my buddy Stephen Martin, who had painted my Imperial Guard army. And then when Contrast came out, I was able to do almost the same work with him. And so to bring up the whole, you know, my orc thing, they're pirates, but I do have a squad of commandos that are dressed up like my Imperial Guardsmen with the helmet and everything, pretending to be them. So they sneak in pretending to be guardsmen, and then they crump them.
That's fantastic.
They got the pants. Well, that's a veteran, but you know, they got the pants and everything, so everything matches. So when people are like, how come your commandos don't look like your guys? And I'm like, they wouldn't look like my guys. They look like the other guys.
It's the sneaky
They look
gits.
like your guys.
They're sneaky gits.
They're sneaky.
Sneaky gits.
Yeah. As far as other units and stuff like that, like I like to use flash gits the most. Flash gits are my bread and butter. They are like, if you're playing freebooters, you need flash gits because they kill everything that's within range, and I mean it. All right, they have 3 shots apiece. They're strength 6. They're -2 AP, 2 damage. And on a roll of a 6, you get to shoot again.
Where's my captain? Do we have Captain Badrock?
Do I have Captain Badrock? Are you insane? He's the most flashiest gits in the entire galaxy. And you think I don't have Badrock? This is the flashiest gits in the whole freaking galaxy right here. This guy is...
Actually, Paul and I played a game not that long ago where I brought... all my Tyranids in. Paul was like, oh, what are you playing? And I'm like, oh, I'm playing a tunneling big giant monster army. And he went, oh, that's not good. And I'm like, why? He was like, I brought all boys. This is not going to be great.
He did eat all of my boys. He did.
I did eat all the boys.
They were tasty. My favorite game I've ever seen was at the game room. Do you remember back in the days of yore when all purifiers for Grey Knights had the purifying flame ability where if they touched you on a 4+, you just took a wound and it doubled up? I got into a team game with Darrow from the game room and he brought full green tide, just tons of orcs. And on like turn 2 or 3, we made a link charge with 4 different units and Crow and got to make 500 4+ rolls to see if we killed guys, because they all, you know, this guy's touching 30 guys and he's touching these 30 guys, so you get the roll for each one, and then you get to do it for every single unit that did that. So we're just buckets of dice, and we got to the end of it and he goes, yeah, I think we're done here. Like, I'm the hell out.
It's the Golf Boys list is one of the hardest lists to beat, especially when you have Gazgul in that list, because his aura gives everybody a +1 to their wounding and a +1 attack. And then his WOG is completely different than normal war bosses. He gets to WOG for 2 whole turns, and he doesn't have to spend a command point or anything for it. So it's just... you have all these boys just coming at you, and you don't have to do anything because they're toughness 5 with 3 to 4 attacks apiece. It's great. I actually missed the 3 CP Green Tide rule. I want that back. GW, if you're watching this, give that back to me.
Give me the tide. You don't
I want the tide.
You don't see a ton of armies anymore that look like old school orc armies, though. They're a lot different.
I'm a big fan of themed armies. Originally, when I started into the hobby, I was surrounded by purists in 2001, 1999 to 2001. Oh, you have to do it by the book, blah, 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 blah. And then when I left the army and I came back and everybody was like doing stuff, I became more accepting of it, and that I actually restarted a regiment of Imperial Guardsmen because I brought my guardsmen to mini wargaming, and everybody started playing Praetorians again. I love when people bring a story with their army, like this is, you know, Captain Bloodclaw's crew. And, you know, for those of you who don't know who Captain Bloodclaw is, where the hell is he? Everybody's blue. Oh, he's really lucky. This is Captain Bloodclaw. He's just basically a big ass orc with a huge claw. He's got a pistol, but like he doesn't really care about the pistol. Like it's just like I'm just gonna shoot whatever. But the minute he goes into close combat, and I always take the rule with brutal but cunning, so he's able to jump into close combat and hit first because he was a blood axe, you know. Now, a lot of people don't know where do freebooters come from. They're actually orcs that get kicked out of their own clan because they weren't good enough to be war bosses, but they're too good to make the other boys look bad. So they basically take all their teeth and make or take a pirate ship, and boom, you got a freebooter unit.
I love
freebooter.
There's a lot of army. We used, again, back in the day for all you youngins, when you had to bring a story, you had to bring your little fluff piece to get maximum points for comp.
Yep. You have to. I think for Crusades, that has to be a must.
Sure, you have to have that.
You gotta... Yeah.
We've actually been talking about doing for an event where we have on... Because there's competitive events and everyone likes the competitive events and that's fun, but there's a lot of people who like to play just fun games. And we're talking about doing like a small, 16-man crusade over 2 days where you play 5 games, but you start your first game at, X number of power level and you creep up every game till where you get to the big giant game at the end. And with talking with it, it's like, I think that'd be blast because you got to come in with a story. You have your requisition points and everything else, do your crusade and have fun. I actually think that would become very popular amongst people who just enjoy playing and having a good time.
Mm-hmm. I want to document the crusade as much as possible so we can send it in so it'll be canonized. Like we did this.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
This is the picture. Here's the pictures to prove it, and here's the story that went along with it. You got these the Black Templar guys. You got these guys over here. You got these orcs over here. I love it. Right, Lincoln?
He's like, yeah.
I want to see somebody. I might do this myself. I want to see somebody document their games in super excited story, basically. But I need somebody that does animation. You can do like Puffin Forest or something.
The one person on the internet who, although he plays competitive games, I don't know if you've ever watched the Glacial Geek stuff. He is possibly the most excitable person on the internet when he plays a game because he woos and has a good time. And when he rolls his dice, he just has fun with it. Doesn't care if he wins, loses, whatever the case might be. He's just there to have fun. I would love to see someone do a crusade fluff, like 5 or 6 game series where 2 guys just play each other for 6 games, record it, and just have fun playing the entire time. Not caring who wins.
I need an animator. We need to do this. I need game recaps that are animated with random,
we need to get JR from WWF to go, oh my God! He just got a 6! He saved that from a mortal wound! Oh, right through the Lehman Ross. Oh, we need that. That in the Spanish announcer.
Brad, I have a feeling we have a weekend coming up at some point in time where we're going to try and pull this off.
100%. Yeah. I like how Louise going. She documents her games. She just doesn't know what anybody's called. It's the seahorses and the flower and the dude of void. I would actually like to see that game narrated by you with that and try to see if people have any idea what actually happened.
I feel like the best way to narrate a game is like on the fly. So maybe what we need is like those people in court that a notary, You just need to have a notary at every table,
A
just writing them,
stenographer, yeah.
a stenographer. Like, okay, first this person did this, and they did this, and then the person said, "Ha ha, chainsword to the face." Boom. You know. I think that'd be fun. Get some kids for photograph class to make sure every battle.
What I want is a little animation. I want like a 10 to 15 minute like summary of the game with nonsense animation. Like just go.
Oh yeah.
Like basically, I want it to look like Cyanide and Happiness and things of that nature. and this is how the game went. Bam! Dude's head explodes.
Gotta get the guy from Bruce to do some stick figure animation for us.
I think I would love to animate some of the role plays that I did with Warhammer 40K, because I remember there was this one time that I was running not a Star Wars role play, a Warhammer 40K role play, and there was this Iron Hands champion that was fighting a Great Unclean One, and the Great Unclean One turned around because a Demolisher cannon hit him, and he was going to go after the Demolisher tank. So the champion decides, I'm going to take my power axe and shove it through the butt crack of the Great Unclean One. So I'm like, okay, go ahead and roll. He rolls a nat 1. I'm like, okay, go ahead and roll D100. He rolls a nat 1. So I'm like, well, you shove the axe directly into the butthole of the Great Demon, and then you get sucked into it. And that's how you die.
That's the worst death I've heard in a long time.
I would have loved to see something like that. That would have been hilarious. Like, who are those guys? Those Flash Kits guys. I want them to animate that.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I love when the Inquisitor. I love when Drago. We just got to keep this bloodletter alive, and Drago stays with us forever. Dink! Just cracks in the skull.
What warp dust?
I am a Sodden. My people need me.
Drago, my man. So, give some shout outs before we go tonight, guys. What's going on with everything? What are you doing in life this weekend? We got some Christmas. What's after Christmas?
After Christmas, I'm going to be working on my Blades of Corn and setting up my World Eaters army. I'm also working on a new World Eater cosplay, so I can actually be 2 height. And I'm going to be making some trophies for the club using old models.
Nice.
So I'm getting ready to run my first Crusade campaign at the art store, which is going to be a really fun 6-week romp on Tuesday nights.
Out there.
And we're actually getting, for the locals, I'm actually doing a bunch of paint clinics coming up where I'm teaching people different techniques on Tuesday nights as well, to get some fun going on. And of course, I have LVO that I'm judging coming up and local tournaments as well that I've got going. So it's going to be good fun.
Mm-hmm. Nice. 10
Lincoln's
days in the
going
work.
to eat some shrimp.
80s trading montage.
And of course, the absolute most fun is I get to play with this little thing that's the chapter approved that's coming out, and torment people with that for a couple of weeks. It's going to be good fun.
Way down there.
We're going to rock some stuff.
Absolutely.
So, all of the things, some of the stuff. So, as usual, like, subscribe, do things, help us out, tell your friends, tell your enemies. Tell your enemies.
Tell your enemies about us, because we're coming!
So, thanks for hanging out, Paul. Thanks for doing stuff.
Thanks for coming on, Paul.
Love it.
No problem. Thank you for the invite.
All good. Everyone, till then, deuces.